Welcome, everybody. This is our weekly Monday show with me and my buddy Gary. Going to get together and we're going to talk about the best college football games of the week. And we're going to go ahead and get them all simulated on the EA Sports. Unfortunately, we are a three-man team and one member is down this week. He's actually going to be unable to broadcast the games for us. If anybody out there listening has EA Sports and is willing to broadcast a game, go ahead and send me a DM. We can talk about that. But Gary and I are going to go through the games. The first game we want to talk about this week is Clemson versus Georgia, and I'm a huge fan of Georgia. Gary, what do you got?
Oh man, I'm excited about this game. First off, it's ABC. It's the noon game, so we are officially starting the SEC on ABC stuff with this one. Neutral site. I've got Georgia favored by 10.6 on this, so slightly under. I say slightly. We're looking at 3 points to 3.5 points. I saw some 14s hit this morning. Saw some 13 and a halves. It's been about 13 and a half for months at this point. It's just kind of been sitting right there. You look at these two teams, 247 talent composite that just came out last week. Clemson is number 5 in the country. Georgia is number 2. But my power rating is way off from that. I've got Georgia number 1 in power rating. I've got Clemson number 14. You start looking at things like adjusted returning production, which we saw this weekend doesn't necessarily matter a whole lot, but I mean, maybe it does. Who knows? I've got Georgia number 35, Clemson number 50 on that. Big thing to look out for this go round. Clemson last year, awful in explosive play margin. They were terrible. They were number 132 out of 133 teams in explosive play margin. So they could not create explosive plays, and they weren't great at stopping them. So is that Clemson secondary going to be able to hold up against Georgia? Looks like Trevor Etienne, the running back, is going to be out for this one, or at least the first half, due to a suspension. Don't know what the full details are on that as of yet, but I don't expect Georgia to run a bunch. I think Carson Beck's going to throw the ball around. I think they got plenty of wide receiver help. I think Oscar Delp, the tight end, is going to be great for Georgia. I would maybe. I have no idea what that is. Was that you? Or is that me?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
I've got messages flying in on every possible angle.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So yeah, if I had to lean a certain way, if that thing's at 14, I would certainly look at Clemson here. Even at 13 and a half, I'd probably look at Clemson because I think one thing that we saw with the clock changes and everything else, there's maybe going to be less possessions per game than what we expected. If Clemson is able to run the ball at all, and there were a lot of teams that were able to do that last year against Georgia, we could get less possessions. And that Clemson defense, I think, is still going to be pretty nasty, especially that defensive front. Georgia's going to be trying to throw the ball. Clemson's going to be trying to run. I think this could be pretty tight. So I like my 10.6 projection here.
I see. All I can see here, Gary, this one's really easy for me. Georgia at home. Case over.
Well, it's
Oh,
home though. It's in Charlotte. It's a neutral.
oh,
So
it's a neutral. Oh, I didn't have it
yeah,
as a neutral.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That's my mistake. I
Now
do
if it was a home game,
ESPN. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, I might would have tossed on the extra 2.5 or 3 for Sanford Stadium, but the fact that it's a neutral, it's in North Carolina, it's actually a little bit closer to Clemson than it is to Georgia.
I see.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I think there'll be plenty of Tigers fans there.
I agree with you. I see the neutral notification now on Spank Odds. I didn't see it because of the way it is grayed on my screen. But yeah, I do see that that one is neutral. Okay, then we do actually going to have a football game there then.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Well,
No, I'm excited about it.
let's go down south for a second because this is a game I'm really excited about. Miami taking on Florida. This is why we should have regional conferences and not nationwide conferences. But I guess these guys have never been in the same conference. So tell me what you think about this conference that should be in the Florida.
So this one is certainly not a neutral, right? This one is in the swamp.
Right.
It's going to be 90-something thousand Gator fans just chomping away. Talent composite, you got number 12, Florida, number 14, Miami. You look at power rating, I've got Florida number 29, I got Miami 21. Adjusted returning production, Florida's got a lot of that, number 22, Miami number 54, but they do have, Miami upgraded their talent, right? Damian Martinez coming in from Oregon State, Cam Ward coming in from Washington State. Along with that, they are loaded on the lines of scrimmage. who needs this game more, right? I think Miami is going to be fine whether they win or lose this game. Florida really needs to get off to a good start here because, I mean, that November slate is awful. I do wonder if people are maybe underrating Florida because they look at that schedule and just see how demanding it is. But this is still a really talented team that's, that showed signs of promise last year. I mean, they started out 5-2, ended up 5-7, lost the last 5. But, bring in Ron Roberts at DC to help out Austin Armstrong there. I'm kind of bullish on Florida. My number on this is actually Florida minus 0.35 points. So Florida favored by about a half point here. And that's only with 2.5 points for home field advantage. It might actually be worth more than that. So the fact that Miami is currently favored by 2.5, I kind of feel good about Florida at home. So I've got them at a 50.93% chance to win the game. So that should give you an idea. I mean, this is just a straight up pick 'em. Just flip a coin and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and the swamp is really tough to play in. Yeah, if you've got Florida power rated higher, this one's going to be an easy play.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't have them higher. I've got them number 29. I got Miami 21. But with home field advantage, that's close enough. Like, the 2.5. I'm so curious what Cam Ward is going to look like. We know what we got with Graham Mertz, and he was pretty good in Florida's offense last year. I want to see Cam Ward in that Miami offense.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I just love college football. I could watch it every single day.
Me too. Too.
Here is one. This is going to be probably one of the best games of the whole weekend. Notre Dame on the road against Texas A&M. I've actually been to Texas A&M. That's an incredible stadium. What do you got on this one? This
one, I don't know how to feel about this because it's kind of been steamed towards Texas A&M, right? I think it's out to 3 at this point. Talent composite, these two are very, very close. Notre Dame number 10, Texas A&M actually number 7, even with all the transfers, etc. I've got A&M power rated number 16, Notre Dame number 8. I've actually got Notre Dame favored on the road by 1.5. Now, I don't know because I've got 2.5 points for home field. Even then, it would be back at about a pick 'em if you gave Texas A&M a full 3.5 points, right? So I don't know. I don't know exactly how I feel about this. Mike Denbrock, the new offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, certainly knows how to scheme against Texas A&M. But this is a whole new staff, a whole new everything at Texas A&M. I would probably lean Notre Dame, even with the offensive tackle going down back in early August. They've had a month to deal with that. So they're going to have somebody lined up, and they will be perfectly fine, I think, at left tackle, along with all the other positions on the offensive line. I've got Notre Dame a 53.87% chance to win the game outright. So I think I would lean Notre Dame here. But, I'll make my decision, of course, before the BetUS College Football Show on either Tuesday or Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
That's definitely a must-watch. I think this game is completely a pick-em. I could argue for both sides. But here
I'm a little shocked at the steam towards Texas A&M, right? I mean, this is like left tackles are big, but I mean, we were talking about a guy that did not play much last year. I think he had 60 total snaps. So it's not like you're losing some super experienced key member of that line. Like, he was expected to be talented, but I think they got other options too. You still got me?
Yeah, I got you now. Now. It went away for just a second. And I think the reason we had the pause was very simple. This is the best game of the weekend. I don't think anybody's arguing this one. UTEP going to Lincoln to play the Huskers. This is the game everybody's talking about. What do you see on this one?
Now, we talked a little bit about this one a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. I'm curious about not new pieces per se, because Nebraska is number 13 in adjusted returning production. But the most important position on the field is quarterback, and they got a true freshman starting.
Yep.
UTEP, not a lot expected out of them, but you know how much I like Scotty Walden, the new head coach there. He comes over from Austin Peay. They did good things there in the FCS ranks, and he's bringing a bunch of those starters with him. we saw the same thing at Texas State last year. I don't know that they will be as successful as Texas State, but they could certainly put a scare into Nebraska. Remember, this is a look-ahead spot for Nebraska. Yeah. So I would imagine the Cornhuskers going to be looking at Colorado for next week. This one, go through the motions, just see what you got. Try not to put anything on film that you don't have to. I've got it at Nebraska minus 17.9, so 18 points. This thing's out to what, 27.5, 28 at some spots?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of points for a team that is very used to playing in one-score games. So,
very much so.
We remember what happened with Georgia Southern a few years ago. I'm not expecting that, but I am expecting maybe to keep it within 28 here would certainly make some sense, because I think UTEP's going to come out and, guns a-blazing here.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. Now, I don't believe Nebraska covers this number. I believe Nebraska wins, but it's going to be about half that, because they're not going to give Colorado any film on anything, because Colorado is the game, not this one.
Exactly. We saw that with Hawaii just, on Saturday night. Delaware State is awful. That is a bad FCS football team, and Hawaii did nothing. They ran the ball. They ran some very vanilla plays and won 35-14 as a 40-point favorite. I mean, they didn't even score 40 themselves. So, yeah, I kind of expect the same here. I think Nebraska will show up. They'll win the game, but I don't think it's going to be by 27.5 or 28 here. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that.
Yep, we're in 100% agreement. Now let's actually play college football on Sunday. LSU on the road versus USC. Who do you like in this one?
This one is interesting, right? Because that number was at 6 to open, went up to 6.5 at a couple of spots. I think it might have even hit a 7 at a couple of books. Immediate buyback on USC. Now there's been a lot of buzz about USC, about how the defense looks a whole lot better. It's just buzzy stuff going on with USC. LSU, hearing some things out of camp about turnovers with Garrett Nussmeier, etc. The talent composite is pretty close. USC number 15, LSU number 9. Power rating wise, I've got LSU number 11. I got USC number 19. But it all depends on that USC defense. I think both defenses are going to be improved from last season. And my number on this is LSU minus 5.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's like right there on the number. I think it's at 4.5, I think, at most books right now. And, it was at 6.5. I felt good about USC plus 6.5. Now I've got it at 5, and it's on a neutral. It's in Vegas, so it's closer to USC, but I still think LSU wins the game. I just think it could be really, really tight.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an outstanding game, and it's going to be the only big game of the day, so it's definitely going to have my attention. I would like getting to play all these virtual games. I'd kind of like to have a double header every single day. Hopefully we can get somebody to send us a message that wants to join the team and do virtual games for us. And if you're that guy, send me a DM. I'm looking at the last thing I wanted to say here about this LSU game. This is a perfect game about line chopping, because looking at Spank odds right now, the line is all the way from 3 to 5. And 3 is a big number. So if you can be on the right side of that, that's a great thing.
Oh, you got that right.
Yeah, please do the line chopping. And like I said, there's a big spot there. But I think that's about going to do it for this week. We're going to cheer on the Huskers on Saturday, and that'll be the end of the stream. Gary, thanks for joining me today.
Absolutely. Don't forget, tomorrow and Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the BetUS College Football Show. It's going to be a blast. So, and of course, you can find all of my other stuff at winningcureseverything.com. But yes, I'm excited. This is going to be a fun week, my friend.
Yeah, I love college football. All right, guys. Thanks for your time.